Okay, so I'm going to go through some static stretches that we use in our programs here. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of static stretch and changes and variations on static stretches. These are just some of the ones that we do that I feel have a good carryover and develop good mobility in the positions that we're after. This is not a categorical list. As I say, there's hundreds, and I've not put in real basic ones like calf stretches, that kind of thing. By all means, keep them in your programs. These are just a few stretches that I feel are really good and do have a lot of benefit that might complement your existing stretching program. Okay, we're going to go through a groin stretch now. This is one of my favourite stretches for the hips and the groin. So we're going to go nice and wide with your knees, as wide as you can comfortably go. Hands on the floor, and then all you're going to do is just rock back here and push your hips back into that kind of, essentially what is a deep squat position. Really pushing back and holding there, and you can go down onto your elbows if that's a little bit better for you, but usually for me it feels better to push back with my hands here and just rocking back and forwards, just spending time in that position and developing that mobility and flexibility to sort of stay in those positions. So a really good stretch, and one that I feel a lot of people should be doing. I'm going to go through a basic lat stretch with the band. Really good stretch, really good way of getting into your lats. I first saw this stretch done with Mike Boyle at his gym in Boston, and I've used it ever since, so quite a few years ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the band in one hand. We're going to drop into a squat position, but just almost let that shoulder go a little bit, and then essentially you can move your hand around with the band just to feel which position you need to spend more time in with your lats. And I can feel that for me it's that position there that's really getting into that lat. I'll show you from this side. So dropping into a squat and letting this shoulder go a little bit and moving my hand around so I feel like I'm getting into my lats there, and actually that position with my hand is a bit better on this side, and just spending time to get some movement and some range in that overhead position there. So that's band lat stretch. Okay, we're going to go through wall stretches for hamstrings. So this is a really good way of almost letting gravity do the work for you. What I'm going to do is stick my hip against the wall, come back here, feet together, head on the floor, knees against the wall if you can, and just relax. And just let gravity do the work. And you'll find if you've got tight hamstrings, you get a really good, long developmental stretch in this way. You can turn your feet in, you can turn your feet out to target different parts of the hamstrings. It's a really good way of getting into your hamstrings and almost just giving you a position where you can relax and get some length there. Need to spend minutes doing that rather than seconds. That's the way to get length in your hamstrings. Alright, we're going to go through a wall stretch for your glutes and hip rotators. So with this one, I'm going to go close to the wall, get your feet on the wall. I'm going to put my ankle on my opposite knee, and I'm just going to drag my hips down to the floor in this way. And then again, I'm going to rely on gravity to do the work, to pull me down or push me down a little bit and just get into those hip rotators. Really, really good stretch for those key muscles there. And then I'm going to go up, switch sides, repeat on the other side. So great stretch, low intensity, longer duration, spending minutes in this position to develop flexibility in your hip rotators and hip region. And that's wall hip rotator stretch. Alright, I'm going to go through wall stretch for hip flexors and quadriceps. This is one of the best stretches for those two key areas. So, good one to throw into your stretching program, this. So you need it's better to have a mat that protects your knee. And all I'm going to do is going to put my knee down on the mat, toes against the wall like this, and then I come up tall here and try and start with my bum, my hip touch to the wall. And most people will feel a decent stretch in that quad already in that position. Okay, so that's a great quad stretch. To get into your hip flexors a little bit, I'm going to reach up here and lean over, and then I also need to squeeze this glute through a little bit there and get into the hip flexors across the hip. And then what I can do is I can then just start rocking forward a little bit and getting more into the hip flexors, coming back and getting more into the quad, squeezing that glute through at the same time. So moving forward here gets right across the hip, moving back and working on your glute stretch, glute activation gets more into your quads. So really, really good stretch for hip flexors and quadriceps against the wall. Okay, I'm going to go through a good stretch for your chest using the wall again. So I'm going to go, first one, I'm going to have my elbow bent to 90 degrees, and then all I'm going to do is just push through here and just get a good stretch on the chest fibres from that position. So a good stretch to just push through there. Really, really good. I can move my arm up a little bit, and I can move it down as well to get into slightly different fibres across the chest. The second one is straightening the arm a little bit, and this one kind of gets into your forearms as well as your shoulder and a little bit of chest. So another option there. But if you want to work really around this, the pure chest sort of fibres here, this is a really good one to do. That's a good stretch. So it's a wall chest stretch.